What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Primetime Sports Podcast, hosted by Joey Mailari. Tough game tonight for the Giants on Monday Night Football, losing to the Dallas Cowboys 23-16. First things first that I want to start with, Daniel Jones played sensational tonight. Sensational. And I know everyone can blame Daniel Jones all they want. There's so many Daniel Jones haters out there, way more than there are Daniel Jones believers. But the fact is this, if Daniel Jones is your quarterback, which if you're a Giants fan, he is your quarterback, whether you want to believe it or not, right now he is your starting quarterback, and you want to place blame on him for the reason the Giants lost tonight, first off, you don't know the game of football if you place the blame on Daniel Jones, because he was pressured tonight 22 times, which is the most any quarterback's been pressured in the NFL this season, a career high for Daniel Jones, meaning the offensive line really got worse in his 4 years. Technically, if he had the worst game pressures-wise of his career tonight, 22 times he was pressured. He was sacked 5 times. First-round pick, 7th overall, Evan Neal out of Alabama. Obviously a rookie. Gave up 3 sacks to DeMarcus Lawrence. DeMarcus Lawrence killed the Giants as he always does with 3 sacks. 5 sacks total for that Cowboys defense. 22 pressures all in all. That's not Daniel Jones' fault. Every time he stepped back to throw, there were 3 or 4 guys in the backfield, typically at least 2 or 3, sometimes even 3 or 4, that are toe-to-toe with him, step by step with him, right behind him. Right behind him. And he threw a ton of balls under duress tonight. A lot of them on target, too. So if you want to blame Daniel Jones for the reason the Giants lost tonight, you didn't watch this game. You did not watch this game. Because if there's only one player on that Giants team, besides Saquon Barkley, who gave everything he had as well, Saquon, I'll put as second for gave it his all on the Giants. Number one player who gave it all for the Giants tonight, gave it their all, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones gave it his all tonight. And if you're not a Daniel Jones believer, fine. But one thing you should give Daniel Jones credit for and respect for is the way he played tonight. He was on the ground every single play, getting mauled behind the line of scrimmage. Mauled. He was getting rid of the ball at the last second, which everyone talks about his turnovers, right? Everyone wants to talk about Daniel Jones' turnovers, his fumbles, and his interceptions. First off, the interception at the end of the game was not his fault. David Sills slipped on that route. Secondly, he has no option on that play but to throw the ball at that time. If you've ever played football, you know when you're throwing the ball as a quarterback, you have to throw the ball, especially if it's a designed play, you throw the ball before the receiver makes his cut. You have to throw the ball before the receiver makes the cut so that when they do make that cut, the ball's already there for them and they can turn their body and make the catch. You have to throw it before. So still slipping on that route, not Daniel Jones' fault. Obviously, Trevon Diggs gets the interception. Everyone's going to talk about, Diggs intercepted Daniel Jones. Not Daniel Jones' fault on that play. Not his fault. Another thing, you really can't expect any quarterback in the NFL to make plays when they snap the ball and there's already 2 or 3 guys coming at them. Daniel Jones had to roll out just about every single play, go to the sidelines, and throw off 1 foot just to try to make a play out of something. And there were multiple plays on one drive in particular where he hit Sterling Shepard on a pass. Shepard dropped it. And then Sterling Shepard also had an offensive pass interference call on a play where Daniel Jones rolled out on 3rd down, threw a rocket down the right sidelines to Kenny Golladay, who was once again non-existent for the Giants tonight. Threw a great pass to Kenny Golladay. Golladay actually caught the ball, and then, lo and behold, offensive pass interference called Sterling Shepard, and the ball comes back. And that's the thing. The Giants really had no luck tonight. No luck with the pass rush. Daniel Jones, I should say, had no luck, because at the end of the day, Daniel Jones should get all the credit and the respect in the world. I know ESPN and Fox Sports, Colin Cowherd will be on air tomorrow, and Stephen A. Smith. Daniel Jones got an interception at the end of the game. It's Daniel Jones' fault. Give me one quarterback in the NFL. Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Any of those quarterbacks, Justin Herbert. Put any of those guys behind that Giants offensive line from tonight against that Dallas Cowboys pass rush, they would not be putting up MVP highlight numbers that some of those quarterbacks, which I know some of them are struggling this season, Tom Brady, Joe Burrow not having the best seasons. It's only week 3. But put any of those quarterbacks behind that Giants offensive line, they would not be putting up great numbers. They would not. Especially considering Daniel Jones couldn't drop back to throw without 2 or 3 guys being in his face. And so one thing I give Daniel Jones credit for is how tough he was tonight. 22 times he was pressured, which, as I said, a career high for him in pressures. Actually, number 1 in the NFL this year. Most a quarterback was pressured this season was Daniel Jones tonight, being pressured 22 times. Threw the ball 34 times at 79 rushing yards as well. So he was throwing the ball a ton, obviously running as well. He had a great game on the ground. All in all, was 20 of 37 with a 54% completion percentage. had a 70% completion percentage heading into tonight. Obviously, that will go down. 196 passing yards, no touchdowns with that one pick at the end of the game, which, as I said, David Sales, wide receiver on that route, slipped. That's not Daniel Jones' fault. You have to make the throw before the receiver makes the cut. As I said, if you play the game football quarterback, you know you have to throw the ball before the receiver makes that cut. That's just how you play the game. Saquon Barkley had a great game, 14 carries, 81 yards, including a 36-yard rushing touchdown. He had a great night on the ground, obviously in the air as well. 4 catches on 4 targets of 45 receiving yards with a long of 21. One tough part of this game was Sterling Shepard's injury. Went down in the last play of the game for the Giants on offense. Had 5 catches, 49 yards, and a long of 16. Shep looked like he hurt his knee on the Giants' last offensive play of the game. Very sad and unfortunate to see him go down, especially considering all he did in the offseason to come back from the Achilles injury. And it looks like, once again, he has another severe injury. So my prayers and thoughts are with Sterling Shepard. You'll always be, no matter what the future holds, you'll always be one of my favorite New York Giants for going out there every single night and giving it your all. Always, always, always was reliable over the middle on plays where it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 10. You need someone to go over the middle. He was never afraid to go over the middle, make a big play, and take a big hit. So credit to you, Sterling, a great career no matter what the future holds with the Giants. Thank you for everything you did for this Giants team. It was always exciting watching you play, and I was psyched to see you come back this season. I hope everything's well with you, and I hope it's not a severe injury, but from looks of it, did not look good, unfortunately. As for the rest of the Giants, Kayvon Thibodeau made his NFL debut tonight. Didn't do too much on the field. I know he wasn't playing every single snap, but was not too much of a factor out there. Azeez Ojulari did not have a sack, but did force 2 holding calls. So early in the game, he was a factor out there, played well. But obviously Leonard Williams was a big loss for that Giants team, especially considering Tony Pollard ran the ball all over the Giants all night. He had a great game for that Cowboys team. He had 13 carries for 105 yards, including a long of 46. Ezekiel was 15 for 73, 15 carries, 73 yards with a long of 27 and a rushing touchdown. CeeDee Lamb killed the Giants in that last offensive drive for the Cowboys. 8 catches, 87 yards, a second to last drive when they scored their touchdown to CeeDee Lamb. 8 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown. Noah Brown had 5 catches of 54 yards. And then Cooper Rush had a good game for that Cowboys team. 21 completions and 31 attempts with 215 passing yards and 1 touchdown with a 98.2 passer rating. So good game for Cooper Rush. As for the Giants, Daniel Bellinger had a good game, rookie tight end, draft pick from this past year's draft, 4 catches for 40 yards, including a big first down play. Richie James had 4 catches for 36 yards. Saquon Barkley, as I said, 4 catches for 45 yards. David Sills, 2 catches for 20 yards. Kenny Golladay was targeted 3 times and not actually have a completion, unfortunately. As I said, the one catch he had came back on an offensive pass interference call against Sterling Shepard. It looked like he was trying to run his route. Ended up running into Diggs on a crosser route, about 25 yards downfield. Would have been a big first down play for that Giants team, and ends up coming back. And then there was another play where Golladay was targeted on 3rd and long. Daniel Jones made a great play, evaded the rush, rolled out to the right, threw on the run, which he had to do all night. Made a great throw to Kenny Golladay, and Golladay just did not come up with it. Hit him in the hands. Looked like he had it even for a second, and then dropped it. So no luck for that Giants team tonight on offense, especially considering Daniel Jones having 20 completions was impressive tonight, especially considering every pass he made. There were 2 or 3 guys in the backfield already within 1 second. It wasn't like Daniel Jones had all day to throw. There was not many throws at all he had all day to throw. And if you look at it, a lot of his throws he threw probably 2 or 3 seconds after snap. And that's because the 2.5 extra seconds he got was because he was rolling out. He had to roll out every single play. As I said, he was pressured 22 times, which is the most any quarterback's been pressured in the NFL this year, and did get sacked 5 times as well. It was consistent, relentless, non-stop pressure in the backfield for Daniel Jones. He had to drop back and throw every single play. Every play to drop back and throw on the run, rolling out to the outside because he had no option but to roll out since the pressure was in his face every single play. And there's the thing. I was saying if you cannot be a Daniel Jones believer, go ahead. Fine, go ahead. I will still be a Daniel Jones believer and a Daniel Jones fan no matter what happens. And no matter what the future holds, I'm going to enjoy the amount of games he has left starting for the Giants. Whether it's just the end of the season, he only gets 14 extra games as a Giant, or he gets another season or 2 after this. No matter what the future holds, I will be enjoying Daniel Jones' time as a starter for this New York Giants team, as I said, because of how big of a fan I am of him. I am a huge Daniel Jones fan, and he deserves more credit than he gets, especially considering he had no help out there tonight. Even when he's on the run throwing dimes to the receivers. Sterling Shepard's dropping balls. Kenny Galladay's dropping balls. You can't have that. At one point, Daniel Jones had 4 straight pass attempts that were dropped. 4 straight pass attempts that were dropped by his receivers. And that was late in the game, 3rd and 4th quarter. So it's not Daniel Jones' fault. You can blame Daniel Jones all you want. This is this 3rd head coach, fourth offensive coordinator, and the offensive line looks as bad as it ever has. Tonight was the worst I think the Giants' offensive line looked in the past 3 or 4 years. And that's crazy to say because they looked a little bit better in week 1 and week 2. Things started trending in the right direction. Again, Evan Neal in the draft, John Feliciano, Mark Lewinsky. These were all supposed to be upgrades. And Daniel Jones just did not have help tonight. He did not have help on that offensive line tonight. Besides Andrew Thomas, who probably had the best game of the offensive line, which is expected since he's the best offensive lineman on the Giants, Daniel Jones had no time to throw. Consistent, relentless, non-stop pressure, and he had to evade the rush every single play. So you can't blame him for the way the Giants performed tonight. Because if there's one Giant you can't blame for that loss tonight, it is Daniel Jones. And I know ESPN will have Ryan Clark and Dominique Foxworth and Stephen A. on tomorrow and Marcus Spears and Dan Orlovsky all saying it's Daniel Jones' fault and the Giants have to move on for him. And the same thing with Colin Cowherd will be on Fox Sports tomorrow saying it's Daniel Jones' fault and he's not the answer for the Giants at quarterback. Well, there's one thing I know from tonight's game. No quarterback would have kept their head in the game with the amount of times they were hit and pressured tonight like Daniel Jones, especially behind that Giants offensive line. No one would have stayed in the game locked in throwing dimes like Daniel Jones was throwing. And that one interception I said was not his fault. I know people that hate Daniel Jones, and I know a lot of people that know I love Daniel Jones will remind me, oh, he threw an interception. That was not his fault. Any quarterback, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, any of those quarterbacks put behind that Giants offensive line from tonight against that Dallas Cowboys pass rush, they would have had no shot. And we're speaking about a Cowboys team last week with Cooper Rush that beat the Cincinnati Bengals, who went to the Super Bowl last year, who beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship last year. So I know the Bengals aren't as good as they were last year, but let's not forget Cooper Rush did beat the team that went to the Super Bowl last year. So beating the Giants in Week 3 on Monday Night Football obviously is big, but people got to stop acting like Cooper Rush just won his first NFL game and the Giants are so bad because they lost their backup quarterback. Cooper Rush played well tonight. Played well. Did not make any mistakes. Got rid of the ball when he had to, even though he had no pressure at all. The Giants had zero pressure against Cooper Rush. It's like he doesn't have to wash his jersey after the game. He does not have to wash his jersey after the game because the Giants never put him on the ground once, I don't think. Never put him on the ground once. So, at the end of the day, you'll look at the box score, see 23-16, Dallas Cowboys beat the Giants. You'll see the Daniel Jones interception. You'll see Daniel Jones did not have a touchdown. But one thing people forget, Daniel Jones is a great athlete, ran the ball very well tonight. As I said, had 78 rushing yards, I believe it was, 79 rushing yards. 9 attempts for 79 rushing yards with 8.8 yards per carry, including a 17-yard run. People forget, Daniel Jones is a great athlete. He can move and help you get first downs with his legs. And secondly, his toughness is something that you cannot measure by looking at the box score because you won't see how tough he was tonight, all the hits he took. In every single pass rush play, he evaded. Every single pass rush, he evaded to the best of his ability. He was getting killed all night. He was throwing the ball at the very last second, trying to make sure his receivers could just in that last millisecond he had, could try to get open. And you know what he did every single time? Took a beating for it. He took an absolute beating trying to find his receivers downfield. And as I said, would hold the ball to the very last second, which is something that everyone would be critical of him before, saying, oh, he turns the ball over too much and fumbles. Well, tonight, Daniel Jones didn't have a fumble with all those crazy hits, being pressured 22 times and sacked 5 times. As I've said a million times, tonight's loss was not on Daniel Jones. If there's one person that you should have respect for and say, hey, he had a great game and gave it his all, it is Daniel Jones. He played his heart out for that Giants team tonight. And no matter what anyone wants to say, he's my quarterback no matter what. You can remind me of all the stats and the turnovers and the touchdown ratio and all the losses we've had with him as quarterback, and now he's 0-9 in primetime games. Keep all that to yourself, honestly, because nothing's going to change my opinion on Daniel Jones. If anything, tonight solidified my opinion of Daniel Jones. And it seems like more Giants fans that were against him online on social media are now giving him at least a little bit more respect. Even if they don't think he's the guy for the future, it seems like everyone's giving Daniel Jones the props he deserves for the way he performed tonight, everything that he did out there, trying to give it his all every single play. He was relentless out there, giving it everything he had. Every single play, he was looking downfield, trying to get rid of the ball, and he threw some dimes too, on the run, rolling out to the right with 2 pass rushers right behind him. DeMarcus Lawrence living in the backfield. Micah Parsons lined up on the other side. Daniel Jones gave it his all tonight. So credit to Daniel Jones on a great game. And no matter what anyone wants to say, I don't care if it's Colin Cowherd, I don't care if it's Stephen A. Smith. No matter what they say, if they have something to say about the way Daniel Jones performed tonight, they did not watch tonight's game. Colin Cowherd did not watch tonight's game if he's going to get on air tomorrow and say it's Daniel Jones' fault. Put Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, put any of them behind that Giants offensive line from tonight, and they would not be putting up 350 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, especially considering not even just the Giants offensive line, give them the Giants wide receiving core that was without Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney tonight. Tony's always hurt, so I don't know if he's ever going to be healthy, but Wan'Dale Robinson, very good player when he's on the field, especially considering he was great at Kentucky last year as a junior. You don't have Wan'Dale Robinson, Kadarius Toney. Sterling Shepard, who had a tough game tonight with the offensive pass interference call and also dropped a big pass. He is now probably done for the year, it looks like, unfortunately. You have Kenny Golladay making $72 million with a $21 million cap hit this year, next year, and the season after, who can't make a play, who dropped a big first down, had 3 targets and no catches, and does not have a touchdown as a Giant yet. 20 possible games he could have played in his Giants career, 17 last season, 3 this season, has not recorded 1 touchdown as a Giant. Does not have 1 touchdown reception as a New York Giant. So give him Kenny Golladay, whatever quarterback you want. Give Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. Give them Kenny Golladay, a hurt Sterling Shepard from tonight, who did not play very well, unfortunately, as I said, had that bad offensive pass interference call, which I don't think was a penalty, but at the end of the day, they called it, so consider it a penalty. Give them Richie James, who's probably our best receiver at this point, it looks like, and give them David Sills, because that's what they're working with. And for the rest of the season, it looks like you're going to be working with Kenny Golladay, David Sills, Richie James, and maybe if Wan'Dale Robinson or Kadarius Toney gets back healthy, those are your receivers for the rest of the year. So give any of those quarterbacks what Daniel Jones had to work with tonight. So without Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney, give them Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, who looks to be hurt for the year, and then give them Richie James and David Sills and see what they do with that Giants offensive line. Because even when Daniel Jones was delivering great throws, there were so many drop passes, 4 straight incompletions at one point, dropped passes by Giants receivers. 4 straight incompletions that were drops by Giants receivers. So it is not Daniel Jones' fault. As many people that want to say it's Daniel Jones' fault, let them. I'm going to let everyone speak their word and say it, but I'm the biggest Daniel Jones believer. And if you look at it, I don't know any other quarterback that would have kept their composure out there tonight like Daniel Jones. Throwing off a 1 foot, rolling right, with 2 or 3 pass rushes behind him, every single play. He knew the pass rush was coming, held onto the ball well, got rid of the ball at the right time, delivered some dimes in the pocket and rolling out to the right on the sidelines, and also extended plays with his legs, moving around the pocket, getting to the outside, running to the outside, getting first downs, extending plays. Daniel Jones gave it his all, and I'm proud he's my quarterback, and I'm proud of the way Daniel Jones played tonight. I don't care what anybody says. Daniel Jones is my quarterback. I don't care what anybody says on ESPN. I don't care what Dan Orlovsky says or Stephen A. Smith or Ryan Clark or Dominique Foxworth. I don't care what Colin Coward says. I don't care what Skip Bayless says. Daniel Jones had a tremendous game tonight, gave it his all for this Giants team. He was hit every single play, 22 pressures, and was sacked 5 times. If anything, if you're going to have a critique of Daniel Jones tonight, it should be that his offensive line is not an offensive line that's fit for the NFL. That should be the critique. And that's not even his fault that he wasn't set up to win because of the years that Dave Gettleman was GM and did not provide him with the help that he needed. Dave Gettleman's help was Kenny Golladay, $72 million guaranteed, with a $21 million cap hit this season, next season, and in the 2024 season. And then also Kadarius Toney, who can't stay on the field because he's always hurt. So Daniel Jones really has had no help and no luck. But that's just a reality situation. I know everyone's going to blame Daniel Jones because he's a very easy target. Everyone likes to beat the dead horse and beat up on someone when they're down because it's very easy to pick on Daniel Jones since everybody picks on him and no one ever gives him credit. But I'm going to be the one that gives him credit. He had a great game. Some other Giants have played very well. Julian Love had 14 tackles, including 4 solo tackles and 10 assisted tackles. Dory Jackson had a good game as well. Did give up that touchdown on CeeDee Lamb. Looked like CeeDee Lamb might have pushed off a little bit, but hey, gave the touchdown at the end of the day. He's going against a wide receiver 1, so not an easy matchup. 7 tackles, 6 solo tackles, and an assisted tackle for Dory Jackson. As I said, he's a very great defensive back at tackling. He's not afraid to make a big tackle, and he actually had the most solo tackles on the Giants in tonight's game. Xavier McKinney had 5 solo tackles, 6 total tackles. Xavier McKinney also had a tackle for a loss and a pass defended. Quarterback hits, the Giants really only had, it looks like 3. Or 2, that is. O'Shane Ximenez had a quarterback hit, and Dexter Lawrence. The only 2 quarterback hits the Giants had tonight were by both those guys. And if you look at Dallas, their safety Wilson had 2 quarterback hits. DeMarcus Lawrence had 3 quarterback hits. Golston, their DN, had 1 quarterback hit. Armstrong, their DN, had 2 quarterback hits. Micah Parsons had 2 quarterback hits. And then they had another defensive tackle with a quarterback hit. So that's 3, 5, and 3. 11 total quarterback hits for that Dallas Cowboys defensive line. So obviously, if you can't tell now after 19 minutes how I feel about this game, then I don't know what to tell you. Daniel Jones really just had no help out there tonight. And I actually feel bad for him since he played very well and shined bright under the Monday Night Football lights at MetLife Stadium. He gave it his all for this Giants team, and there's nothing he can say after tonight's game and put a blame on himself. I know he's going to do that and probably say I have to play better, but Daniel, there's nothing more you could have done out there. You gave it your all, and I'm proud of how well you played tonight, how hard you fought. You gave it your all. Anyways, that wraps up today's episode. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to this. As always, I appreciate it. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you.